Mia thought she bought a cheap old house. She didn't know she was moving into something alive. Every night at 3 a.m., 3 knocks. Every whisper in the walls says the same thing. Get out while you still can. But when the walls are filled with the people who tried to leave before you, where do you run? Mia signed the papers on a gray, wet afternoon. The house stood at the end of a quiet street, its windows dark, its paint peeling in thin curls. It was cheaper than anything else in town. Too cheap, the agent had joked. But Mia did not laugh. She just wanted a place that was hers. 4 walls, a door she could lock. Inside, the air smelled of old dust and something else she could not name. The hall was narrow. The floorboards creaked under her steps. There were 3 bedrooms, a small kitchen, and a tiny room at the end of the hall with a door that would not open. She twisted the knob, pushed with her shoulder. The old wood did not move. It sticks, the agent said, hanging back near the front door. Old houses do that. Some rooms just close themselves up. Mia thought it was a strange thing to say, but she did not ask. She had signed already. It was her house now. That first night, the house felt too quiet. The silence did not feel empty. It felt heavy, like a thick blanket. Mia lay in bed and listened to the wind move along the eaves. It hissed and sighed. Now and then a board popped in the hall, as if someone walked there, placing careful feet. She told herself it was just the house settling. Near midnight, she woke to a sound. It was soft, like someone speaking from another room with the door mostly closed. A low murmur, words sliding over each other. She held her breath, trying to hear. Out. The word was faint, almost lost in the hum of the fridge. Almost. Mia sat up. Hello? The sound stopped at once, as if a hand had pressed over a mouth. She got up. The air felt colder when she stepped into the hall. Her bare feet were silent on the wood. She moved toward the end of the hall, toward the stuck door. The nearer she got, the clearer the sound became. The whisper was right behind the wall now, thin and tight. Get out. Her skin prickled. Her first thought was, someone is in there. She pressed her ear to the door. The wood was cold. Is someone there? She asked. Do you need help? Silence. Then, very faint, a ragged breath like wind pushing through a crack. She thought about calling someone, but who? The police? To say her wall just told her to get out? She shook her head. Old pipes, she told herself. The house talking. Old houses make sounds. People say that all the time. She went back to bed, leaving a small lamp on. Sleep came late and thin. At 3 a.m, she woke up to 3 sharp knocks. They were so clear she sat up at once. Her heart hammered. The digital clock on the nightstand glowed 3 hours in hard red numbers. Knock, knock, knock. They came from the wall above her head. She stared at the wall as if it might open. The knocks did not come again. The house sank back into a dead, waiting quiet. The next day, she blamed stress. The move, the long drive, the new job that would start next week. She drank too much coffee, unpacked boxes, tried to push away the memory of the voice and the knocks. By the second night, the house smelled different. The dust and old air were still there, but under them lay a damp, sour scent, like wet cloth left in a dark place. Again, she woke at 3 how. Again, 3 knocks, slow, even. Knock, knock, knock. This time they came from the direction of the stuck room at the end of the hall. She could feel the sound more than hear it, like a faint tap in her bones. She got out of bed, took a flashlight, and walked down the hall. The beam shook in her hand. Paint bubbled in a few spots on the wall. A long, dark crack ran above the closed door, thin as a pencil line. She reached out and touched the knob. The wood on the other side shivered, as if something had pressed back against it, and then moved away. A whisper slid through the crack at the top of the door. It sounded like many voices at once, too soft to tell apart, but they made one clear word. Out. Mia jerked her hand back. Her throat felt dry. She forced a laugh that came out weak. Old houses, she whispered to herself. Just old houses. In the morning, she met the neighbor. An older woman with sharp eyes and gray hair tied back in a small knot. She stood on the front walk, staring at the house, not at Mia. You moved in, the woman said. It was not a question. Yes, Mia said. I'm Mia. The woman did not come closer. Her gaze stayed on the upper windows, where no curtains hung yet. People don't stay long there. Why not? The woman pressed her lips together. Walls are too thick, she said after a moment. Sounds get stuck. Don't you hear them? Mia hesitated. She thought of the whispers, the knocks. "It's an old house," she said. The woman's jaw tightened. "If you hear them tell you to go, you should listen." Not everyone did. "Who lived here before?" Mia asked. The woman looked at her now. Her eyes were pale and tired. A family. Before that, a man on his own. Before that, another couple. People come and go. But that house, she shook her head. That house doesn't let go easy. Mia wanted to ask more, but the woman turned away and walked off without saying goodbye. That night, Mia did not sleep. She lay awake, watching the numbers. On the clock crawl closer to Krar, the air felt thick and damp, as if the house was breathing around her. 2:59. She held the sheet in both hands. 3-0. Knock, knock, knock. They came from every wall at once. The sound crawled through the floor and up the bedposts. The light in the hallway flickered, then went out. The whispering began, low and constant, like 1,000 mouths at her ear. "Get out! Get out! Get out!" It was not one voice now. It was many, layered over each other. Some angry, some scared. Some dull and flat like a voice worn out from saying the same thing too many times. Mia snapped on her bedside lamp. The bulb flared, then dimmed to a sickly yellow. The whispering faded but did not stop. It soaked into the walls, into the floor, into her skin. She could not live like this. In the morning, she went down to the small basement. It was low and cold, the ceiling so close she had to duck. Old paint cans sat in a corner. A rusted bicycle lay on its side. On one wall, half hidden by cobwebs, an old framed document hung. She wiped dust from the glass. It was a drawing of the house, a floor plan. She traced the hall with her finger. Bedroom, bedroom, another small room. At the end where the stuck door was, the drawing showed not a normal room, but a square shaded dark. In neat faded letters, someone had written, "Sealed." Next to it, in a different frantic hand, were 2 words scratched into the yellowing paper. "Lock them." Mia stared until her eyes burned. Her heart pounded hard in her chest. Them. Who was them? She found more in a cardboard box under the stairs. Old newspapers, curled and yellow. On the top was a clipping with a picture of the house, looking almost the same as it did now. "Local family missing," the headline said. Under it, smaller words. "Neighbors report strange sounds, red stains on walls." Her eyes raced over the rest. The family was a mother, a father, 2 children. They had lived here 5 months. One night, screams from the house had woken the street. By the time police arrived, the house was empty. No bodies, no sign of a fight, just streaks of red substance on the inside walls. The case was never solved. There was a grainy photo of the family smiling on the front steps. Someone had taken a pen and scratched out all their eyes. Mia dropped the paper as if it had bitten her. The house felt closer around her now. The air weighed on her shoulders. Every tiny sound made her jump. All that day, the whispers did not stop. They were faint in the morning, like someone talking through a wall in the next apartment. By afternoon, they rose and fell like the tide. She heard words, pieces of sentences, cries cut off in the middle. "Please. No, don't open. Leave us." Sometimes she heard her own name. Mia. It came from the vents, from the kitchen cupboards, from the drain in the bathroom sink. The first time she heard it, she turned on every faucet, as if she could wash the sound away. That night, she pushed her dresser against the closed room's door. The knocks still came, 3 slow and hard at 3 allow. The dresser trembled with each blow. She covered her ears with her hands. The whispers slid under and around her fingers. "Get out! Get out! You have to get out!" There were other voices now, too, ones that did not sound like warnings at all. They were low and eager. "Open. Hungry? More." The walls started to change. Small, dark lines spread under the paint, thin as veins. At first she thought it was water damage, but when she touched one crack, the wall throbbed under her fingers. Not much, just a slow, dull beat, like a heart. Mia pulled back, staring. Her fingerprint left a pale mark on the paint, as if the wall's color changed where she touched it. That evening, she tried to leave. She packed a bag, grabbed her keys. The front door refused to open. The lock turned, the handle moved down, but the door felt stuck, as if someone on the other side held it shut. She threw her weight against it. It did not budge. The whispers rose to a hiss. Stay. She backed away, shaking. Went to the back door. Same thing. Even the windows would not lift. The frames seemed to have grown tight around the glass. By the time the sky outside turned black, she knew she was not leaving. Not that night. The power went out around midnight. It did not flicker or warn her. It just died, a deep black drop. One moment the lamp was on, the fridge humming. The next, everything was dark and still. Then from the end of the hall came a slow, wet thud. Not a knock. A pulse. The air vibrated with it. Thud. The narrow hall ahead of her glowed with a faint red light that had no source. It seemed to seep from the walls themselves. The smell of rot grew stronger, mixed with the sharp scent of metal, like old coins or fresh blood. Thud. The door at the end of the hall was open now. Just a crack, enough to show the darkness inside. The dresser she had shoved against the door was gone. Not moved aside. Gone, as if it had never been there. The whispers gathered there, at that thin opening, low, thick, buzzing over each other until they turned into one long, deep sound. Mia's legs moved before her mind decided. Each step toward the door was slow and heavy, like wading through water. The floor under her bare feet felt warm, not from heaters, from something else. The closer she got, the louder the pulse in the walls became. Thud, thud, thud. It matched the beating in her own chest. She pushed the door open with 2 fingers. The room inside was wrong. Her first thought was that it was too small. The walls pressed in, close to each other. Closer than they should be. Her second thought was that they were not walls at all. They were skin. The surfaces around her were pale and smooth, breathing in slow, shallow waves. Veins ran just under the surface, dark and thick, branching out like tree roots. The whole room moved in a gentle, sick rhythm, swelling and shrinking. Her light came from nowhere and everywhere at once. The air glowed a dim red, as if she were inside a living thing. On the far wall, words were cut deep into the flesh-like surface. Not written with paint, but carved, the edges wet and red. We were here first. As she stared, the lines of the letters oozed. Drops of dark, sticky red ran down the wall, thick as syrup. The whispers surrounded her now, so loud they seemed to press against her skull from the inside. We were here first. We were here first. She locked us in. Don't open. Don't open. Dozens of voices. Hundreds. Men, women, children. All thin and dry, like wind through dead leaves. Other shapes moved under the wall skin. Bulges that pressed out round as fists, then slid back. One rose higher, stretched, formed the faint outline of a face, the suggestion of a nose. A mouth open in a silent scream. Its eyes were just smooth curves. Mia could not breathe. You wanted me to leave, she whispered. Her voice shook. You told me to get out. Why didn't you let me go? A new voice answered. It came from everywhere at once, deep enough to make her ribs hum. We can't, it said. She won't. Who? Mia whispered. The room's pulse quickened. The veins darkened. The whispering broke into a low, eager moan. Behind her, the door slammed shut. The sound was wet and final. Mia ran to it. Her hand slapped against the surface. No knob, no seam. The door had become part of the wall. The soft, living wall. She dug her nails into it. It gave under her fingers like thick rubber. Warm, slick. Hands rose out of the walls around her. Not full hands at first. Just bumps that stretched and split into fingers, pale and thin. They reached for her, shaking. Mouths opening between them. Teeth pressing up under the skin. Get out, they begged. Fingers brushed her arms, her hair. Get out while you still can. I can't, she screamed. Open it, please. We can't, they sobbed. We tried. Something else moved beneath them. Deeper than the voices, deeper than the hands. A slow, rolling shift, like a huge animal turning in its sleep. The whole room shuddered. The walls tightened. The whispers changed. Now they were not warning her to leave. Now they called her name in a slow, hungry chant. Mia, Mia, Mia. The floor softened under her feet. Her skin tingled, then burned. She looked down. Her soles had sunk a little into the surface, as if it were thick mud. When she tried to lift a foot, the floor held on. Tiny white strands stretched between her skin and the ground like spider webs. She screamed and pulled harder. The strands snapped with wet little pops, but more rose underneath. The walls leaned in, closer now, hands reaching. Fingers brushed her cheeks, left streaks of cold along her jaw. Faces pushed out of the walls, their features half-formed. Eyes opened, dark and empty. Mouths stretched wide. All of them whispered, Stay with us. She knew then what we were here first really meant. It was not about who owned the house. It was about who owned the walls. They were full, packed, layer upon layer of people pressed together until they became the house. Every person who had lived here, every person who had not gotten out in time. The walls were not holding them in. The walls were made of them. Hands caught her wrists, her shoulders. They were not strong alone, but there were so many. They pulled, gentle at first, then harder. She lost her balance. Her knees hit the soft floor with a dull sound. The surface shivered in delight. The cold sank into her bones. The last thing she saw before her, phone fell from her pocket and the light went out, was the message on the wall. The words were changing. The cuts closed over. New letters opened below, fresh and red. We were here first. Now so are you. Her scream rose with the others and then broke apart, swallowed by the living dark. Outside, the house stood quiet at the end of the street. In the morning, the old neighbor watched from her window. The lights in Mia's house were off. No car in the drive moved. No curtains shifted. The woman turned away, shut her blinds, and pretended she did not hear the faint, far-off echoes. Soft knocks in sets of 3, a low, urgent whisper in the walls of the street itself. Get out! While you still can,